Hello. Have you ever been staring at a blank page wondering how to begin your essay? Yes, introduction is the hardest, right? No, it's not. If you learn and if you know how to begin and if you learn how to do it, you will find it is the easiest. So today, you're going to learn how to write a perfect introductory paragraph with relevant content and by grabbing attention of the reader as well as stating your thesis. So watch until end and learn how to do a perfect introductory paragraph. First, it is important to understand what this introduction paragraph means. Introduction is something like the first impression you are going to give your reader. If I give it with an example like this, you enter a house. It is like the door, the main door. It is going to give you the first impression, right? So, your introduction should be very attractive, very well constructed to grab the attention as well as the attraction of the reader. In an introduction paragraph, usually there are three parts. First one, you can call it like the hook or the opening. This opening can either be a statement or a question. It can be something like broader, but when you're focusing a writing question and answering it, the writing question may give you the hint to start or to begin. You can use that hint as the opening. Next sentence or the next part will be the background. Usually this will be narrowing your opening down. It is going to be a little bit like more specific. Then at the end, the last part will be the thesis statement. This is the most important statement of your introduction paragraph. This is going to state which side you're in. That means which sides you're going to talk about in this essay. If you're talking about two sides, we will say advantages and disadvantages. You have to mention that in this thesis sentence. If you are talking about only one thing, even that you have to clearly mention in this thesis sentence. So let's look at this one a little bit more with an example now. Let's look at this question. Some people believe that the social media is a great platform to interact with people, while some believe it discourages socialization. Write an essay discussing the advantages and disadvantages of social media. So in this question, the two sentences give us two different things. First sentence, it is giving us the background or what we should be focusing on in our question. So if we analyze, it is about social media, the good things and the bad things. And second one, specifically mentioned, we have to address the advantages and the disadvantages. So let's move on to the hook sentence. Following the question, I have given this opening to begin my introduction paragraph. Social media has become an important part of daily life for millions of people around the world. So you can say this sentence is not a narrowed down one or a specific one, but it clearly addresses about the social media and how it affects on the people. So I'm not going here and there, but not narrowing it too down, kind of like keeping it in general. I'm talking about social media and giving the hint in my opening. Now we are going to look at the background. That means I'm specifying my first sentence. Some believe that it helps people to stay connected, share ideas, and access information easily, while some argue that it reduces face-to-face communication and affects mental health negatively. So when you're looking at this sentence, you can clearly say, I'm going to talk about the good side as well as the bad side in my writing. So I did not specifically mention, but I have narrowed my opening down. I did not add any examples, but I have just generally included some certain things which are kind of like general, not specific. Okay, let's move into the thesis statement, which is going to give what I'm going to talk about in this essay. This essay will discuss both advantages and disadvantages of social media in order to decide whether it is more helpful or harmful. Look how specific this thesis sentence is. You can clearly say, I'm going to talk about advantages, disadvantages, and then at the end, I'm going to state or decide whether it is helpful or harmful. So this statement will clearly say what I'm going to talk about and at the end, what I'm going to present. So I think you can get an idea with this example how to write this introduction. Now you may have an idea about how to construct an introduction paragraph. Let's look at the common errors students do when they're creating this introduction. Number one, they are not making it too specific. That means they're not narrowing it down. They're going too general. Here, it is important to start from general and to narrow your topic down to the very specific at the end, that means in the thesis statement. Number two, adding too many sentences. I always suggest my students to use 2 sentences or 3 sentences, but not more than 5 sentences in an introduction. You can write a perfect introduction using 3 sentences. Next one, you are not answering the question. That is also one of a huge mistake students do. Remember, you're writing this essay because you have to answer. You're writing this writing because you have to answer a question. So your question must be answered within this writing. That means in the thesis statement, you must mention what you're going to focus on. So you cannot just go here and there and expect that you have built a good writing. Next one, adding examples. Introduction paragraph is not something where you should be adding examples or your ideas. Something like I feel, my opinion. It's not the place for you to add those things. But in the body paragraphs, of course, you're getting chances to add those things. Next one, copying the question. Most of the time, what students do is that in the opening, that means in the very first sentence, they do copy this question and write the same sentence or the sentences in their beginning. That means in the very first sentence of the introduction. But do you know that when you do that, it is something like you're repeating the same thing. So when the marking is done, you may lose some marks. Try to present the same thing but in a different way. So now I think you have a clear idea about this introduction paragraph and how to create a wonderful one. Remember, you have to stick into whatever you have learned today. That means the opening and then the background and the thesis statement. And the next thing is that always try to make a clear thesis statement because it is going to state what you're going to write about in this essay. So hope you have learned something today. And if you have any comments on this video, please comment it and you can share this video with your friends as well as you can subscribe my channel to learn more. Have a great day.